What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today I just kind of wanted to briefly highlight here that the reverse removal update has gone live. I'm a little bit late to recording this. I've had a lot of other things going on just in my life recently. I'm sure some of you have noticed that we have kind of fizzled out off of the daily uploads, so I apologize for that. We still do plan to be uploading consistent content, just going to be a little bit fewer and farther between videos and stuff. But yeah, so I just wanted to kind of cover that the update did go through, and just give a little bit of an update about my account. So obviously this change is horrible for me, because every single unit in my box that was once, an SSR copy was awakened and then reversed for the extra links. So now that the reverse system is gone, all of those units have been forcibly awakened to their maximum states. So as you can see here, like I have 4 of this LR beers now, right? One of them is the LR with the EZA attached, and then the other 3 are just the un-EZA'd versions of the LR, because the other 2 would have been the SSR and the TUR, and that just got reawakened up to here. So as you can see, I still do have the SSR and TUR here. That's because over the past few weeks, what I've been doing to shore up all of these problems in my box is I have been basically refarming the entire game. So if we go down to about, oh, well, that's a that's a whole separate thing that we'll talk about. But yeah, so starting like here, this is a bunch of World Tournament units because they did announce that they were doing away with the World Tournament banners, so I went and farmed up a bunch of extra copies, or I spent all of my tickets and got a ton of copies of World Tournament units. I decided to keep all of these as fresh SSR copies, since every single one of my World Tournament units that I had SSR copies for, which would have been every single one that's already gotten EZAs, I've made sure to pick up at least one SSR copy of each of those with the Hercule Satan signatures if I hadn't already pulled enough to just have the copy, right? So all of those got forcibly awakened. So now, in place of that, I wanted to go ahead and farm all these up. But then, yeah, on top of that, I started going through the entire free-to-play portion of the game as well, farming up all the cards. So you can see right here, we've got quite a few that are ready to go. I'm going to have to re-link level all of these guys. I want to say we're about, like, 70%. Actually, okay, it's probably, like, we're about, like, 80% done with the grind. Of regrinding all the free-to-play units in the game. It has taken a couple of weeks to get this done. But we own about maybe 70% of the units, because there's another solid percentage that isn't going to require us to grind. All of the units that we can purchase, I have not yet done. So basically everything that you can pull out of the Baba shop, all the incredible gem units, things like that, I haven't bothered picking any of those up, so that'll be like the last thing that I do once I finish getting through the list of story event characters in the Portal of Memories, which is what I'm working on right now. So yeah, unfortunately I am gonna have to link level all these guys again. It's kind of sucky, obviously I had just finished my entire box, so it's a little bit annoying to have to go back and do all these hundreds of characters again. But it's not like the link leveling would have been done regardless, because, we still had a lot of box space left. We had about 1,000 extra character slots when I finished my entire box. So what I initially started doing was farming up all of these Epic Showdown Gokus here. I do have about 500 of them ready to go right now. So yeah, basically, this is the most lucrative unit in the game for power level. He's got 15 links between all of the different iterations of the card, down here at SR, and then up to the SSR, and then through all of the, awakening lineages. He has so many different links. So the idea is to just fill up the rest of my box space, any of the excess that I've got to spare, and then just link level a million copies of this guy, and that will, hopefully shoot our power level, like, through the roof. So, the reverse update has hurt this a little bit, because now there's a couple hundred character slots that are being taken up by refarming all these free-to-play cards. And now here's the problem with this. So let's go ahead and go over here. I have a tag set up. This is all of the units that were forcibly awakened during the update. So I'm actually going to be able to go through here unit by unit, and determine which ones are dud copies and which ones are still valid usable copies, right? Some of these will be valid usable copies. So for instance, like this guy. Oh, well, actually, that's a horrible example because he doesn't have an EZA. If we're going to pick any of the heroes units, it's going to be someone that would need to not be... Basically, any of the units that are not free to play that have EZAs, those are the ones that are looking fine. So, like this guy? No, we've still got 2 of him. Maybe... Him? Okay, so I guess this is a decent example, right? Like, there's going to be some Dokkan Fests and things like that, so we don't actually have an SSR copy of this guy anymore, but this copy that we've got here is technically still usable, because it provides a 1 in a different slot that we didn't have access to yet, so while we still do need to recollect the artwork for the SSR, because now we just have 2 of the top-level artwork, technically it's still a 1 in a different slot, so it is still, like, a usable card for me to keep as a part of my collection, right? So yeah, there are some units in here like that where even though, you know, there was some weirdness shifting around with what awakening state they're at, I might potentially still be able to, like, utilize that card just because I didn't have enough of them before. So yeah, this is where it really hurts, where it's a unit that's already been, already has an EZA, and I already have the top copy finished, as well as having previously had the SSR, and then having been worked on the un-EZA'd copy, because now I have 2 of the un-EZA'd copy, right? And there are quite a few units that have this, where there's 2 of them at the top level, but they don't yet have EZAs. Those are perfect, because eventually one of them will be able to become the EZA'd copy once the EZA goes live, right? So, but yeah, it basically... most of these units are just going to end up being duplicates of something that I've already got in my box, especially the LRs. So, yeah, so the thing is, I could clear up a lot of box space by just straight up getting rid of all these units, or not all, but, you know, most of them, because they are just duplicates. There's a very specific reason why I don't want to do that, and that reason is because there's a lot of hidden potential system investment in these. Now, of course, all of these are link level 10 as well, so obviously, you know, I would be losing a ton of power level, like 8 million at the minimum, but it's probably more like 10 million or something like that, that I would lose, maybe close to about that amount. Yeah, if I ended up just babaing all of these cards, and that is definitely not something that I want to do, but it is worth noting that not a single one of these cards is providing as much potential, you know, power level output as one of those Epic Showdown Gokus would, right? So if I were to get rid of one of those units, you know, I'm gonna lose out on like 8,000 power level from, you know, like 2 Dokkan Awakenings on the card plus the 7 links or something like that. But then I can gain almost 16,000 power level with this unit here because of all the extra links that he's got, right? So theoretically, if I were to Baba all of those units and replace them entirely with these Epic Showdown Gokus, by the time I had them re-link leveled, my maximum power level would be way higher, right? Because you're looking at an extra like 7,000 probably around there per unit. So yeah, that would mean very, very good things for like the future of my power level and stuff. But the reason why I can't get rid of those cards is because of the hidden potential system investment, right? So really quick, let's go ahead and switch over here. I did want to highlight this as well. So just looking at where my power level is sitting at the moment, comparative to other players on the little leaderboard here, there's a pretty sizable gap between me and the next place person on global. Obviously, well, actually, it's not obvious. We haven't really talked about this on my channel yet, but I have technically finally passed up to Truth DT. I was going to make a video about this when it finally happened. Unfortunately, it was like the most lackluster thing ever possible. We'll get back to talking about that in a moment, but yeah, just looking at like these big gaps here, they're not big enough. If I were to just sell all those cards, I would definitely go down on this list, and that is not what we are trying to do since we are so close to the top here, right? So if there is any question about getting rid of cards that are already link leveled and stuff like that, that's not something that I'm going to focus on doing until I am completely out of character slots and I have no other choice but to get rid of them if I want to, you know, like keep link leveling new characters and stuff. So we'll see what all of that looks like. But for now, this is kind of the way things are going to sit. And then let's go ahead and jump into the DBC Discord here. I want to pull up the leaderboard for the hidden potential nodes so I can show you guys what that's looking like for me. We'll just give this a second to think and load here. Okay, so here we go. You can see I am 4th in the world on this list. Now, obviously, this list only includes global. This doesn't include any JP players. But this is ridiculous, right? Considering how many people have grinded super hard in world tournaments and stuff. You know, I guess just there aren't as many players out there who are grinding, you know, the SSR copies for everything, and grinding like the uneasy ATURs and just having all of these extra units, not to mention, you know, hundreds and hundreds of dupes of free-to-play units over and over. You know, just owning enough characters in your box to be able to fill out all of that hidden potential. Because I know for a fact there are some players who have millions more hidden potential, you know, orbs available to them. They just don't have the units to spend them on. A perfect example of this is like Discord. This is a player that has scored very, very highly in the World Tournament on countless occasions. So they've got millions and millions of potential orbs. They just don't have any additional characters to be able to dump them all into to get their nodes up to these astronomical numbers, right? So it would absolutely hurt me a lot if I were to sell those characters that are rainbowed. Selling like 800 rainbowed characters would absolutely tank this number for me, and that is not something that I'm planning on doing. So simply because of this number being a competitive thing, I do not plan to ever get rid of any of those units as long as they have any hidden potential system investment in them at all. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump back in game here. The only units that I would be willing to get rid of would be, I guess we can go like this. So these guys, right? None of these have any hidden potential system investment in them, even though they are link level 10. They were just ones that I used as link level leaders once upon a time. We've got the same thing with the version Z Gokus. I've got 100 of these. Again, all link level 10. You know, it would absolutely pain me to get rid of those two, duped out LRs, just because I've spent so many incredible gems farming all of those up, because all of them are like fully easy aid, you know, fully SA20'd, all of that stuff. So it was just a lot of incredible gems for the Vegetos, and then for the easy A medals for these guys, right? But yeah, there's no hidden potential system investment. So ultimately, if I get to, like the very end game where I'm fully filled up my box with like level 10 characters, then the next step will be to get rid of all of these and all of those other Vegeto LRs. There are also a couple of other ones here. These guys, all the Hercule Boos, these guys, it would be smaller gains because they've got so many links already, right? 13 links for them, and then also for these guys here, the Vegeta and Krillins, they have 13 links as well. So if I were to get rid of all of these ones, and then replace them with the Epic Showdown Gokus, I'm only going to be gaining about 2,000 power level per character, just because there's only a couple of extra links, right? So these ones would be the last priority to, switch that up. But, yeah, so there we go. There's lots of different characters that are taking up still hundreds of slots that I could potentially max out power level. So why is this important? Because of Migate. In my very last video that I posted, I discovered that there is a new power level leader. There's someone who's not, doesn't partake in the power level leaderboards, who has the highest power level in the actual world, and they are still ever increasing. Unfortunately, we don't have much information on this player. We don't know what their box space is, what strategy they're using to link level and all that stuff. All I can do is use my best educated guesses based on what I know about link leveling and stuff, to kind of get there, right? So, the Migate here is the player that we're talking about. So, Migate, upwards of 38 million power level, still steadily climbing, heading toward 39 million very soon. So, yeah, I'm curious to see when this player is going to be done, when this player is finally going to have filled up their box space and be finished link leveling, because right now, where they're at, with the pace that they're going, you can see they're earning a lot of power level in a very short amount of time. It's a little bit nerve-wracking for me because they're starting to get to the place where I won't be able to catch them, right? I've only got so much left. The 500 Epic Showdown Gokus that I've got sitting in my box right now, by the time I'm finished link level 10ing all of those, it will be 7.9 million power level. And that is just for those 500. But if you consider the fact that there's about another 400 or so box space that I'll be able to, again, clear out units and replace with those Epic Showdown Gokus, obviously that's not going to be one-to-one because we'll be losing a lot of power level and gaining some as well. But that would be, another couple million bump that would happen on top of that. And you have to consider there's still a couple hundred free-to-play characters that are sitting in my box, taking up box space, that aren't yet link leveled because I just finished farming them up. So all of that's going to add to my power level as well. So I've done some rough numbers here, and basically based on all of that, me being about 15 million behind them, it's looking like if they don't stop soon, my theoretical cap is around 40 million, I think. So they're gonna need to stop soon. Otherwise, I'm just gonna be toast. There's gonna be no shot for me to be able to, you know, catch up and be the #1 power level. So yeah, that's basically what is going on with my account at the moment. Just lots and lots of grinding. I guess I could just show you where I'm at with the free-to-play grind here. So yeah, I've already finished grinding up every single thing that's live in game right now, right? We've done all of the story events that were live, all the strike events, all the Dragon Ball stories, all of the prime battles, whatever else there may be, like the Team Bardock and Ginyu Force members, obviously the Epic Showdown Goku. It was actually really funny having to do all these panel missions, which required you to just farm those various stages and play any of those, you know, stages to get the characters and the medals and stuff. I had just finished farming all of that content, and then I had to go back and do them all again for the panel missions, so that was kind of funny. But yeah, we finished all of that stuff, so now what we're working on is just the Portal of Memories. We are right here finishing up with Bobbity, the Bobbity LR, and then we just have to keep going down this list. As you can see, we're already more than halfway through it, and at the top it takes a lot longer too because there's quite a few units up here, like Giru and Goku Jr. and stuff. There's a few more up top as well that have the free-to-play potential orbs that you can feed in, so there's a lot more runs you have to do in order to be able to rainbow those characters, but I don't really need to worry about farming awakening medals since none of these characters are actually going to be awakened. They're all just going to stay at the SSR copy. So what I have been doing alongside this is every single event that I play, any awakening medal that's available in that event, I've been running that stage at least once, so that I can make sure I've at least collected a singular copy of every awakening medal in the game. That is something that has been like a long-term flex goal that I wanted to do, and I figured since now I'm going through every event in the game again, I might as well do that. The only ones that will be like an additional grind is something I'll have to do at some point in the future would be all the EZA medals, because obviously there's a ton of those that I would have 0 of, right? It's a little different with like these story event medals. A lot of them I do have some excess because you get a random amount as drops when you run the stages, so oftentimes you're going to end up with accumulating a couple extra on top of what you needed. So even after you spend them, you're still going to have 1 or 2 sitting in the box for the collection. But with the EZA medals, as you farm EZAs, you get exactly what you need. And unless there's ever been a sub EZA, there never would have been a reason to go back and farm those medals again to get the extras. And then even when there is a sub EZA, you can still evenly farm the exact number of medals you need. So most of the EZAs in the game, I don't have any of those medals. But nonetheless, that is a grind, like I said, for a future date. So for now, the focus is just going to be getting through the rest of these events here. And then after I finish that, we're going to be done. That's going to be the full free-to-play game farmed up again. And then it'll be right back to link leveling. The other thing that I was doing, because I kind of have been taking a sort of a massive break from link leveling. I stopped link leveling at like the beginning-ish, like first week or so of September, I believe. Maybe it was like a little bit after that. I don't fully remember. I think it was like, maybe it was like at the end of September. But yeah, it's been quite a while. It just feels like it's been way too long. So aside from farming all of these up, you know, and then farming the Epic Showdown Gokus themselves, I did also have to farm up the medals for the Epic Showdown Goku, which took a really long time, right? So we had thousands of those, 1,500 of these, oh, this one as well, 1,500 of these. And then for this last step of awakening, he actually needs 35 of these medals in order to awaken. So I needed to get this a full stack maxed out. So we got these to all 9s, and it's not even enough because the grand total I need is 17,500, and that's to awaken 500 copies. And remember I mentioned at some point in the future, it is a flex goal for me to have like probably another 400 copies of this guy in my box. So I'm going to need just so many thousands and thousands and thousands of this metal over time. But for now, we're at the full stack, so I'm probably just going to let those deplete over time as we get this guy, you know, awakened more and more, and then we'll kind of go from there. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. That's where we're at. We're just going to finish up farming this stuff, and then it's going to be right back to link leveling. And hopefully my numbers will start looking a little more comparable with some of these other players, because there are some people who are grinding very, very hard for power level these days, and I am just feeling the hurt of it because I have not been. So very, very soon we will be right back on that grind. All right, well, that is everything that I've got for you guys today. Just wanted to give that little update. Let me know how your grinding is going, what you guys are up to in-game right now, if you're focused on power level or whatever else. Very curious to see what you guys are up to in Dokkan Battle. All right, well, that is going to do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.